we are live once again. This time we're at Frankie's house in Las Vegas. It's the first time we've ever done this. This is great. We actually barbecued today, so y'all missed it because I tore that barbecue grill up. Anyway, we have some people here I haven't seen in a while. We've got some Las Vegas monsters going on here that have made some things happen all over, the city here, but it's resounded and resonated all around the world. And last time, if you were tuned in, we left off, we picked up from the early days where we started from the disco days, the record pool days of record systems, and we got into the shark clubs and a few radio stations. I'll let you all continue with all of that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Rory McAllister, my brother from another mother, pick it up from where we left off, and then we'll begin, and everybody can introduce themselves. Go ahead, Rory.
Frankie was just giving his information as to how things had started with the evolution of record systems prior to my arrival in Vegas. And basically, I came in roughly about maybe 86. And Phil Riccardi was at the helm at the time. Actually, I had took a couple pool slots for a friend of mine. During the time I was actually working at UPS while I was in college, and I had a friend of mine by the name of Sam Stickley that he was doing a lot of mobile DJ stuff at the time, man, but he was just buying all his records. And I was like, man, let me kind of hook you up on a better way to get your product and put a little savings in your pocket. So I had turned him on to the record pool. And again, at that time I was already affiliated with other pools around, the country, of course, from Chicago. Prior to me being in Vegas, I was in Miami. I still had my connections in Miami and all that. And, I was doing that kind of thing, but I definitely wanted to plug my man up locally. So I plugged him into Phil. And once I had got, involved in kind of helping him with that, I saw a little bit of responsibility to, try to help them along, man, because I seen a whole lot of, voids that needed to be filled in reference to them basically getting to the level of, national credibility as far as I was concerned, because I saw, there were some things that I knew I could definitely contribute to making it better. Definitely with the feedback system, communicating with the record companies, that type of thing, man. So we ended up, kind of getting into that, and Phil just justified my interaction as much as he did, man. And he promoted me to assistant director at the time. And after that, I was pretty much running it for the most part, but obviously, it was still his baby at the time. So that's kind of where everything was. And then it just got to a point to where his interests started changing, man. He was doing telemarketing. He was doing all kinds of other stuff, just hustling and making ends along some other lines. And I was like, well, man, I'm really into this thing, taking it serious and all of that. So down the line, I actually submitted him a proposal to buy him out, man. And I ended up buying him out in 1990 and pretty much took it over myself. And once I did that, I really stepped up and was able to do it, man. Start really getting proactive, taking the trips to the music conferences and, really making it happen. So forward with that, as Frankie was saying before, there was definitely a big advancement with what I was doing, because I was really, really interacting with the marketplace, man. I had all the radio stations reporting to us. I had them on lock. I had the retail stores on lock, so much to the point to where we basically had picture ID cards, man. I had made up, and all the DJs could go to all the record stores if they had to buy something, and they were getting like 20 to 25% discounts on, all the music. We had all our charts in the stores to where when you went to the stores, you knew what was hot in the clubs. You knew what was hot in the radio. You pretty much knew everything just by going to the record store, because obviously the consumer was the buyer, and the whole, key was to target those consumers through what we were doing to promote the music. So that's kind of where it was for me. And then eventually, you know, the labels recognized all the work that I was doing, man, and they started tying me into the artists. So eventually it became me doing itineraries for artists, and you know, eventually I started even doing regional stuff, man. Arizona became one of my markets, Denver, Colorado, Southern California. I was basically, you know, going on the road doing touring with these guys, man. So, you know, and that's how I actually got, you know, involved with Lady Gaga. You end up putting a picture up with Lady Gaga. I was actually at that time I was independently contracted by Interscope, basically handling, you know, all the local promotions and marketing. Aside from the record pool, long story short, that was a separate check, and I had a few of those via Interscope Records, Def Jam, Warner Brothers. You know, I was doing a lot of indie work and all of that stuff too, on top of, you know, having the call letters with the radio stations, and it was really key for that, even with the mix shows and for everything that was going on, because obviously we had a direct line to physically breaking those records, man, you know, from the DJs physically getting the product direct from the record companies, then you know, us being able to get right in the trenches and kick it off, man, you know, from us getting out in the clubs and really happening, making it happen, and to actually, you know, having those records react through, you know, radio and airwaves. And at that time was when Nielsen had started the BDS tracking. And with that BDS tracking system, basically they were able to, you know, physically get digital imprints of, you know, all the records and how the records were basically working and, you know, handling like that. So, you know, it really caused us to step up, because they could really see, you know, the actions and the reactions of what Vegas was really bringing to the table, man, you know. So it just made it a little easy. And I was thankful that I became the messenger, man, for Vegas, you know. And my tagline was the industry groove source for Vegas. So understand what that was. That was true.
Hey, brother. Thank you. Now we're going to pick it up with Frankie, and then we're going to reintroduce the panel as well as our new members that have joined us for this interesting occasion to talk about what's happened in Vegas in the last 20 years. But Frankie, DJ Frankie, pick it up from where you left it
Oh
off.
yeah. No, Rory actually picked it up from after me. I had the
I was in the record pool in '79, and at that time it was basically just high energy, and it was servicing the Fruit Loop, which is all the gay clubs here on the end of Paradise Road. So I was lucky enough to get in that pool, but I noticed that they were only getting high energy music, stuff that was 128 beats a minute and higher. So I started contacting some labels on my own, and ended up getting service from Profile, and that was a little later on, RCA, Evelyn King, and all that stuff. And Wayne, the guy who was running the record pool when it was basically for the gay clubs, he was upset with me, and he said, "You're trying to take the pool?" I said, "Not really. I'm just trying to get service for the stuff that you're not getting." But to make a long story short, the companies just called me and said, "Look, you got a radio show and you're dealing with the record stores." I was going to Odyssey Records and giving them my list, and they were just putting it up, everything we were playing, and they were ordering that stuff and leaving the list right in the 12-inch section and also at the counter. So that was great. I also gave it to Tower Records, but they just said they bought stuff from the list. They didn't hang it. And at that point, the record labels gave me a lot of service. And like Rory said, after I had the record pool of my own from 1980 to 84. I was in it in '79, took it over in 1980 with George Luster, Hurt 'Em Bad, who was a rapper on Profile Records. And we were very close, and we took it over and made it a pop pool that had everything in it, you know, from every label, not just the high energy stuff. And all of a sudden in '84, I started doing so much of the hip hop dances and electro. You know, if you were a popper, you were dancing to electro hop. And if you were into hip hop, you were listening to rap. But we got so much into that sound that I was really neglecting the pool. And Gary Cosmo came to me and said, "Look, before you let it go away, it was so hard to get a pool here in Vegas. It's still considered a small market. Let me take it over, and I won't let it die." So I let him take it. God rest his soul. He passed away some years ago of cancer. And then he had it with Phil, and then Phil took it completely And I got to tell you the truth, it's not just because Rory's our friend and he's been around for years with us, but when Rory got it, it really did make a big change. And then that was the only time it got strong again with his lists going in the record stores. And like he said, they turned him on to the artists. When I was at 54 years later, he actually got War and Average White Band to play there and, call up just phone calls. And, I was telling the MGM, no, this is someone I can trust. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it.
And he was doing a ton of that. So if it wasn't from, I'm not giving myself the credit because
the pool, it was Wayne who did. But when I got it, I made it more versatile, open to all the clubs and all the music formats we were playing. And then in '84, when I was losing interest, and Gary and Phil got it, it wasn't until Rory that it became a real force of music again. And thank God for that.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You said when you were losing interest. It's hard to believe that you ever lost interest.
I wasn't losing interest in the music, but I'm just on the pools. Like, they're telling me to call them up. And they're like, you didn't get your paperwork in on time. You got to fill out the paperwork, the charts on who's doing this and that. And I was too busy having fun and making money with the hip hop scene and, doing dances literally 4 and 5 days a week. I had That's Entertainment on the day and Uptown at night. And we were doing our own dances in a hotel still. So I was so busy with that rather than see it fall by the wayside. I started losing the label here and the label there. Gary and Phil took it, and I don't know what they saved or not, but I do know that when Rory got in, it brought it up to a whole other level, and thank God for that. And we may not have even had a pool anymore.
All right, so that's the foundation. As you can tell, we have some new members in the room, and we have only one beautiful female over there. Her name is Adrienne Hefter. We also have in the incomparable DJ, Soul Supplement Master Bruno Browning. And we've got my Chicago brother, Harry, whose face is way down at the bottom, so all we can do is see your head sticking up off the top of your name. We need to actually move your camera up a little bit, my brother. There you go. Let us see. Let us everybody see that face. All right, so he's live from Chicago. Rory's coming in from Arizona. But we got a couple of New Yorkers in the house too, which you already met Frankie. But we got my man Tony Staten down there as well. And is that everybody? I think that's everybody. Okay. So what we're going to do is the new members, I need you to introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself. We'll start off with my main man, DJ Harry A.
What's up, everybody? First of all, it is an honor and pleasure to be here. Wow. I was born and raised in Chicago, moved to Las Vegas in 1998, and Vegas is home. I play all genres of music, but most people know me for playing house music, deep house, soulful house, and disco.
Speaker, somebody's is on.
Got an echo on. And yeah, I was blessed enough to hustle and grind hard where I was able to get on the radio.
Really? That's weird.
Sorry, my volume down?
That's what I said.
Yeah, we got a major echo going in here. It's the first time I've done an actual live thing with people in the same room, and everybody's got their phone and their cameras going, and I have to tell people to turn their sound down, and we're getting echoes and the whole 9 yards. So bear with us. It's the first time, and we're ironing out the kinks. So, are you done, DJ Harry A?
Chicago's
finest.
I was saying that I was blessed enough to end up on Power 88, 88.1 FM, and I've been on the station now for 19 years, playing soul, funk, jazz, and now I do a show along with Jesse and Rory and Mel Starr. We do the Ultimate House Party every Saturday night, so still keeping the music strong. I enjoy playing the live gigs. And I'm staying true to this thing called house music. That's it.
Does that mean you're done now?
Yeah. Unless you want to keep on.
Well, yeah. How's it going, Bruno Browning? I moved here in 99, I think it was. Yeah, the very end of 99. And just got out of the Army. And Believe it or not, I came here because of corporation laws. That ain't a very hip thing to say, but I knew I was gonna start a business, and I guess it was 2000, and I marked 2006 as the first day one of Soul Supplement Records. But it was a few years before that. I started with my ex-partner, Curtis Bledsoe, and this Saturday we celebrate 15 years. Not just 15 years, but 15 years of consecutive, every month releases.
Nice.
Boom, boom, boom. We're well over 200 releases. 86 artists, all hailing from 6 different continents, and the music's played all over the world. And
Nice.
there's there's a certain generation of cats that when they think Soul Supplement, or they think Las Vegas, they're going to think Soul Supplement Records because that's maybe all they know, because they've been buying the music for so long. Started out with vinyl, and it was terrible. It was horrible. Those tracks, that was the worst music I've ever made in my life. It was just garbage, just straight garbage. But you get better, and here we are. And I got now me personally, I've got records on 35 different record labels, from Farina's label to everywhere in between. And I'm a vote member of the Grammys, which means nothing, but I still like to say it.
It means nothing. Come on, man. I've been a member of the Academy for 20 plus years. It means something. It might not mean anything to this.
When you win one, then it means something.
Shake it down and give a hundo, but
Right.
but that's about it. That's about it, really. I mean, the short version.
Yeah, that's good. That's what we need. Short version. Keep the edits. Nobody likes edits anymore. They like those 7 and 8, 9, 10-minute versions. But it's all good. Next up, we have the beautiful Adrian Hester.
I didn't even know I was supposed to be speaking, but hi, everybody. So I've known DJ Frankie, we just figured it out, for 38 years. And I first met him when I was 13 at That's Entertainment, which was a teen club. And I grew up in Vegas. So when all these nightclubs would open and all my friends who were DJs were trying to start something, I would get a call that said, bring your friends. So I would just reach out to my circle of influence and bring them. And that's when it started. I remember Studio 54. It was me, DJ Frankie, Susie Manzer, and DJ Rob. And that was it. that was it. It was just like a moment of just us in that club before it opened, and everybody came in, and it was really surreal. So
wait a minute, I got a great picture of DJ ROB. Check this out.
Yep, there he is.
ROB Las Vegas legend. Look at him.
Yeah. So that's me.
All right, thank you, Adrian. So, all the way from Brooklyn, New York, promoter extraordinaire. None other than what used to go by Tony Signature, right?
It's Tony.
Tony Tate.
Yeah. How you doing? Tony S here. Tony Soul, which I go by in the millennium and whatnot. But I came to Vegas the end of 2014 at the behest of a friend. Said, come out to Vegas. It's wide open. Continue what we were doing. So basically, back in like 2008, me and a brother, Brian Moore, we had a residency doing an event at the Standard on Sunset, sponsored by 944 magazine, that really blew up and so forth. And that end of that year, he had a death in his family and had to go back to New York and handle that. So I did probably one more event, went back to NY. But when the brother Brian came back, he was like, yo, I'm coming back west, but I'm moving to Vegas. Yo, pull up. So that's what I did. I got my affairs in order, came on out, whatever, peeped the scene, got in the loop, and I've been here ever since. And I met the homie Jesse when I kind of started, a couple of events out here, a couple of private parties I did.
All right, hold on. I gotta say something here. We're in Las Vegas, right? We're in Vegas because we got our own personal bartender delivering the drinks over here. None other than Amanda. All right, go ahead.
That's Sin City. That's Sin City. Yeah. So, but nobody brought me a drink though. Nobody brought me a drink though.
Right? What a drink.
You heard? But it's all good
My
though.
whole area is
You know what I'm
empty over
saying?
here. What's going on?
I know, right? Exactly. But just in a nutshell, I met the homie Jesse at a private mansion event I was doing for my birthday. One of the sisters brought him over, and I'd always heard about him, had admiration from, miles away, and pretty much from that point on, like 2015 on, like we've been, as much as possible, thick as thieves and what have you, and that's my story as far as just the nutshell to kick it off.
All right, is that everybody? I guess that is every. Oh, we know.
And that's your friend.
I know, right? I was your man. I've been on the road.
Wait a minute. I can't believe. Wait a minute. How did I forget? This is so funny. Wait a minute. Let me introduce you properly. See, this is why doing this with everybody in the same room is so much more fun. When you're sitting there by yourself, you don't get all these little nuances. This is great. So, in their own words, live, none other than Jonathan, DJ in Texas.
So, my story is pretty simple. About
What's your story?
88, I decided I was going to do something in the music business, and I went up to LA. I was in San Diego, and I went and saw this guy Doc Martin. He started playing, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is what I have to do. House music is my life. House music is my life." So I took it back to San Diego. I started working with a crew with Richard Humvision. And Javier Lugo and a bunch of other guys. We had a record label called Aqua Boogie. We were really successful with that. And with Mahongos, it was great. We had a great thing. Peter Lorimer. I mean, we did stuff with Madonna. It was all really good. And then I wanted to learn a little bit more. So I was a Billboard reporter, and I went to Chicago, and I took a job as a promoter for the first House of Blues out there. And I was at this Billboard Music Summit, and I was talking about this earlier at the Marriott, and Jesse was on the panel, and I'm like, looking at this guy, he's talking about he's the creator of house music. I'm in Chicago. I'm like, dude, I got to meet this guy. This is my guy, This guy created it. So he's got to be my best friend no matter what, So I hound dogged him. I bird dogged him. I was on his tail. I said, you, me, we're going to be best friends. He's all, yeah, okay, whatever, But then we started hanging out. And, we went to the Winter Music Conference. We did a bunch of stuff. I had a little record label that I started myself called Evolution Records out of Detroit. And a big production company out of San Diego. And what brought me to Vegas was a bunch of different people kept saying, hey, no territory out there. They got cool clubs out there. You got to go check it out. So I said, okay, let's go out there. And they didn't let anybody in this town. This is the early 90s. They didn't let anybody in this town that was from out of this town. And I was lucky enough. I met Frankie. I met ROB. And they were tight with my crew, the Aqua Boogie guys, and we had a record pool. We were doing our own thing, and we kind of like merged, and it was really cool. And Frankie was doing Studio 54 at that time, and God, I can't even remember how many shows we did, but it was great. And then also Jerome Thomas over there at the Luxor, that was fun too. I did a bunch of shows at Raw.
Okay. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Okay,
where did you do your show? Okay, this is a show about Vegas.
Ice, Ibiza, MGM, Luxor. I mean, Venetian. I mean, you name it. I was a whore out here. I really was. I mean, I was a club promoter from the West Coast. They let me into town. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna show this town how we really do it. And this was way before Rubber and John Huntington, all those guys. They were trying to do stuff, but they were only doing like a couple hundred people at that time. I said, I'll show this town. I'll show them what West Coast is really about. Boom.
So
that was a different shows, but
You show them?
Did I? Oh, I showed him.
Okay.
I showed him.
Tell us how you showed them. How many people come to your event?
Well, I mean, on a little one, I was doing about 3,000 people here, but on the bigger ones, we did like 7,000, 8,000. You know, and they hadn't even seen anything like that really in Vegas. You know.
So now that we're talking about
the best times that I really had in town was coming to visit Frankie. Yeah.
Where'd you
really
visit?
studio visit? The joint. It was more fun. It was more fun. It was more fun.
Was the whole thing.
Oh, I gotta get.
It started out in the back, and it ended up being a whole thing. So he would come up, be a player.
And just bringing up bottles,
Yeah.
drinks, bottles all over, and
Bottles and drinks, bottles all over, and just hanging out on stage, giving anybody the mic.
Clubs after that, staying out till noon. So he was around, and he had some fun.
I know. I got a pretty funny story actually. A pretty funny story actually. I was in the DJ booth, and I think it was during the rodeo one time, you know. And you're like, these guys got tons of money. Yeah, during the rodeo, he goes, they got tons of money, Jonathan. You got to come talk to these guys. So I go over, I sit at the table. They're all, hey, we hear you're a great club promoter and everything. We want to give you a bunch of marketing money. I go, well, what do you do? They go, well, we're Copenhagen. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. And I'm like, Copenhagen. Yeah, what happened to you with house music? What do you care? We're gonna give you money to throw parties. Money is money, man. No problem, man.
Oh yeah, you were there that night with Matthew.
Oh yeah, he came a few times back.
We were talking about actually, I think my phone's died. But we were talking about actually the Taboo. Taboo was one of the greatest clubs that I've ever seen.
I agree. I have a passion for that place.
Yeah.
Jesse played there, and so did everyone from Carl Cox to friggin'
Tiesto coming by and hanging out.
Yeah.
So it was a great club.
I'm glad you brought that up because all the other clubs I played in were mainstream clubs that had a house night.
Were mainstream club night, except for Utopia.
But Taboo was just house.
Yeah.
Beginning to close, just house.
Yeah, just house only.
And that was a big ordeal.
I really love that place.
Me too.
Awesome.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, normally I ask questions, but this is a round table, so I just want everybody to talk. I want a discussion, so keep it going.
What day was it?
And hold on.
Yeah, what day?
All you guys that are in here virtually, meaning Harry and Rory, feel free to jump in wherever you can, man, because I just want to keep the discussion going and not be so much of a Q&A this time around.
It was Tuesday, right?
Tuesday was eating night, yeah. Hard. Well, then you had a good time.
That was my plane day. Oh, that was started on Thursday. I go to Red Dragon.
Yeah, Red
Dragon. Boom, boom, boom.
Unfortunately, there's a big delay. Going on.
Yeah, no, we got a bunch of hold on, y'all. We got a bunch of mics open here, which I'm trying to sort out here because we got about 8
guys
mics
are in the
going
same
on,
room.
and we're trying to figure this thing out. So bear with us. I'm gonna keep my mic open, and can you hear the room when they're talking? Harry?
No, I just hear you now.
You just hear me? You don't hear anybody else?
No. Barely.
Okay, so I'll keep one mic open.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's best. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, man. So you can see everybody.
Just saying.
We're in here. This was the place where they just did the Pawn Stars special where they came into Frankie's garage and looked at all his records.
That's awesome.
Get out. Okay.
He didn't sell anything though.
Yeah, he wasn't going to.
That's something to face after they left.
But they still came in here. So Rory, what happened after 2005 here in Las Vegas?
After 2005, well, primarily for me, I was still doing radio. I was at KLUC, which I had started over there in 99, 2000. And for what you heard on the weekends with Club 985, I was the first one to initiate, the weekend show. Because at the time, the only person that was actually there prior to me was Hollywood. He was doing Hollywood Boulevard. Frankie and Rob was actually on the air over there doing some things before we came, but they really didn't have a solid program as far as the mix shows were concerned. So once Frankie and Rob departed, they justified us being on. Myself, Hollywood, Warren Peace with the Friday vibe. He was doing his thing also over there too. But with Club 985, it was a little bit different because I had a little bit more versatility to, pretty much break records. And when I came in, I specifically took the midnight slot because I knew that the clubs were basically making the transition, to the after hours. So after midnight, I was able to have a little bit more freedom with the music. So I dedicated my last hour because I had 2 hours from midnight to 2 a.m. And that last hour, I just dedicated to playing house, which fortunately they gave me enough freedom to do that, man. And, that definitely opened up the airwaves a lot, with the labels supporting us and stuff too, because obviously they had a commercial outlet to break a whole lot of those records that they normally wouldn't get airplay on, to physically look at the detections and feel the spins and all that other stuff too. So in conjunction with what, we were doing at radio, with what Frankie and a lot of those guys were doing in the clubs. And I was doing a lot of spot dates, special events and things like that because I was so busy doing everything else. I couldn't afford to even be in the clubs like 4 or 5 nights a week. So I was more like the special event guy, and I would come in and, do a lot of the major events like that too. Other than that, I was primarily babysitting a lot of those artists when they came in, doing artist itineraries, in-store meet and greets, that type of stuff. So it was pretty cool. But the radio was always key for me because, again, at the end of the day, that's where the record labels really was able to, sit in the meetings and kind of justify, where the activity was in reference to them doing everything that they were doing in the marketplace, because physically with BDS detections and things like that, they could definitely, see what was going on. So, and also that gave us a lot more freedom to, do some things, because once they justified all activity happening in Vegas, they was like, well, hey, we see Rory and them guys really doing some things. They gave me a lot more flexibility and freedom to bring artists in. Whereas at one time, Vegas was being bypassed when it came down to promotional, acts and shows. I mean, realistically, at that time, it was primarily nightclubs or concert venues booking talent. But, once they actually saw the promotional situations just open up to where they could really touch and feel what we were doing to reach the people, that's when they started giving me, a lot of promo dates. And like I said, Lady Gaga's first show here in Vegas was actually a promo gig. Now, dig that. When you think about that at the end of the day, that's like bananas, man. And I could tell you honestly that because of the fact that most of these clubs were super corporate, they didn't really understand. Number one, they didn't really know, what she was doing on the back end with a lot of the artists such as Pussycat Dolls and all that. That girl was writing majority of those hits for them even before she got on as a solo artist. But there was a rollout, a corporate rollout that was set up for her to be the next girl. And, I had press kits and, all kinds of stuff that I was taking around doing corporate meetings at, all these major clubs. And they was like, well, Rory, she's unknown. I'm saying, man, if you guys don't take this gig, y'all going to be regretting it somewhere down the line. And most of those commercial clubs didn't get it. It's the gay community that got it, man. And Crave Nightclub gave us the first look. And two events later, believe it or not, your man Donald Trump had the the Miss what was that, the Miss Universe pageant. He did that in I think at that particular year, he ended up doing it live from Vietnam or something. And Lady Gaga was his featured artist, man. And after she did that, yo, that girl blew up, man. And the next gig that she did in Vegas, from that point, I mean, it went from Jet Nightclub to MGM Grand Garden, bro. That's how big, you know, that look was for her. So
Yeah, we
go
all know
figure.
what happened. Wait a minute. Tell me who's this guy right here?
DJ Shu, man, that's my baby brother from another mother right there. KUNV, Dimensional Dance. That dude was really instrumental in helping me carry the torch with, you know, the electronic side of dance music, because, you know, whereas I was more concerned and concentrated toward really breaking ground with the commercial call letters, you know, obviously he still had that college situation going on, and he had a lot more flexibility. So whereas for me, I was playing, you know, more commercial dance, and I was still getting, you know, soulful stuff in, you know, every now and then. Man, Shu was he was killing it with the drum and bass, and, you know, a lot of the real alternative style dance, man. And you know, we were like bookends, man. That's my boy, still to this day, man. That's my brother.
Yeah.
I love him, man.
Okay, so who's this guy right here?
The Edgar Reyes, man. You know, that's the homie too, man, for sure. The CEO and the originator of Soul Kitchen, man. You know, if you guys are familiar with the Soul Kitchen parties and all of that, Edgar, that was his baby.
Oh yeah. So I know at one time when I came out here, when I actually moved out here, I had heard that Soul Kitchen was the longest running underground house music venue. Is that true?
Yeah, I'll definitely vouch for that. You know, obviously we had some things going on before that, but Edgar was like the Don Cornelius of the underground clubs, man. He was the first run, longest running.
Don Cornelius.
Right.
I like that. I like that. Bruno, talk a little bit about Edgar for me.
Yeah, you know what? Edgar's the man. He's, you know, I'm glad he's got it back. That he's, you know, Soul Kitchen's back. It's like the second week now. They moved to Park on Fremont, which is good. It's good to have Edgar doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
He knows what he's done.
yeah, he's been doing it for a minute, and he only books talent. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to book some Bobo ass people that should not be playing.
Right. Exactly.
I got a big reputation. I'm gonna be proud of and stuff.
Hey, you should.
If you can't get down, you shouldn't be back there. But Edgar keeps that bar high, and I've always dig that about him. He's always a straight shooter, man. He's always a straight shooter. He's one of my favorite cats. Seriously.
Nice.
Old Mini Doc. That's what I call him.
Mini Doc.
But yeah. Y'all should check out Soul Kitchen. It's back. It's back.
Yeah, I'm glad it's back. You know, it's been gone for a while. I remember there was another crew out here that did some really successful house music events. Who wants to talk about Keith Evan? Somebody, come on. Go ahead, Bruno. Come on, somebody talk about Keith. That's the man.
Well, I'll tell you what, Keith Evan's been around for a long while, and I'm trying to think who was first at this point, because there was a guy named Maurice.
Maurice was doing a thing called Ride in 1988, 89, and he had Create spin with him. Oh yeah, you would know that. Adrian would know that because she's been around. This guy, he was a good-looking guy, and he was half Indian, half black, and this guy was a model. I'm telling you right now, I think he was great looking. This is how he had all the girls come to the event. So at first it was like he's a good-looking guy. He got the girls coming to the event, but it was more than that. He had good DJ. He had Create was his DJ. Create, who ended up working at Palms and all that, and Dre's and Access. Yeah, Create. So Create was his DJ, and I went to a few of his events, and I was very impressed that the scene was really cool. It was called Ride.
I got a cool shot. Hold on. I gotta get this shot. I got right over your right shoulder, Frankie. You got Adrian sitting over.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I gotta get this shot. This is cool.
Right there. No, Adrian's been around. As a matter of fact, not only was she around in 1983 when I had the first radio show, 1982 I had the first radio mix show. And she would come to the events that we were doing at That's Entertainment afterwards. As a matter of fact, Rory was part of that because I had that show from 82 to 86. I was on 88.1 and 82,
Right.
and I was on 91.5 and 82. I was on 88.1 from 82 to 84, and then I was on simultaneously a 91.5, which is the UNLV radio station, all the way until 86. And then Rory joined us, I think, in 85, if I'm not mistaken.
Nah, 84.
84. He joined us.
Yeah.
You were the same
Hey,
age.
hey, Jesse, go to your inbox and pull 2 pictures that I just sent you, bro.
Did you hear what you said before? You said you thought you moved here in 86, you said.
What's that?
I thought you said you moved here in 86 because I thought you moved
No. I moved here in 83.
Okay, yeah. So he was
well, remember, Frank, we opened up Club Uptown June 8th, 1984, bro. I was your first DJ there. Come on now.
Oh my God. Yeah, he was.
How you forget that?
And he knows the dates. He knows the dates of Jeff's birthday.
Right?
He knows the dates of the first time he was with a girl. He tells you dates. But no, it's true. Rory was with us. And that radio show started in 82, went to 86. Rory was with us since 83. I thought it was 84, 85. 83.
Well, Jesse, Hey, Jesse, do me a favor and go to your inbox, man. I sent you 2 Magic Mix pictures from 1984. Now to verify it, man.
Let me check it out. Let's see what we got.
So that was the first mix show in the town, 1982 for the college station.
Okay, here we go.
88.1, and then 97, KLC. I don't see the picture, but when we did KLC,
This is going to be great.
it was called the Party Zone. And we had Humpty Division on, we had Laura on, we had Henry on. And,
Henry, man.
Right, those are
Back in the day.
Tom said to me, stop with the techno. I said, we're not playing
Stop with the
techno. We're playing house music in this. He goes, no, stop. And I was like, believe me, people are calling for it. And he was like, no, just cut it out.
Who said this now?
Cat Thomas, the program
Cat
director.
Thomas, yeah.
And he wanted us to stop. So
Yeah.
I fought him on a few of them. I said, listen to this. This is pop. A lot of them are your stuff, John. And he let us play it, but he wasn't really into it. So he made me stop the stuff like T99. You know, we were doing all that techno. So he made us stop the real hard electronic. But about 2 years, 3 years later, he gave me credit and said, yeah, that stuff buzzes. It's starting to buzz. But when Rory had the back of the record that was pushing it, they just allowed him to go a lot further. And us, they cut us out a lot, you know.
All right, the proof is in the pudding.
That's right. That's Rory McAllister, Chicago legend in the gray and white shirt. He's like he's 18 in that.
Right.
Next to that, right, is Hypo Scott. The guy was more hyper than me, but he was very good. Very good DJ. Then there's me in the yellow shirt looking at Hypo like, what the hell are you doing?
But look at Rob. Rob looks like he's about 12.
Rob just got out of jail, as you can tell with the striped shirt, just covered the numbers.
Right?
And then there's Sandy and Vinny, 2 Guidos that make me look like I'm from Arkansas.
Nice.
And Adrian, that was actually in That's Entertainment.
That was at That's Entertainment, you're right. And we had great parties there, man. That place was packed with lines outside the door. Break dancers, poppers, lockers. It was great.
That was you guys' whole deal.
That was the whole thing, the whole pop and break thing. And, you know, I mean, it exploded. I think that we jumped on it before LA. Because when they were making New Breaking, the producer's name was Andrea Martin or Andrea something. She came to meet us. Called me up.
Man, look at these shots.
That's Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, look at these shots, dude.
Saturday night and Friday was with Jordan.
I did both those nights.
And I set up both those nights. Friday night was Ken Jordan, who ended up being Crystal Method. They ended up being the electronic group Crystal Method. He was my DJ on Friday night. And I set him up to do the new wave thing. They killed it with all the guys with the black fingernails and the spiked hair and skinny
They were
ties.
asking me for like 10 years to come to San Diego play. I go, I can't hire
Oh,
a
Crystal
band.
Method?
Yeah, I go, I can't hire a band called Crystal Method in San Diego at that time.
I know, right?
And then finally I hear them, 5 times, and then boom, they blew up. And
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that.
yeah.
Yeah, we brought linebacks, Ice-T and LA Dream Team.
LA Dream Team.
I got a great story about LA Dream Team. If you got a second.
Go ahead, go for it.
Thank
Let's
you.
hear 'em.
Well, make a long story short, and I'm serious. I'm going to make it short, so it's longer. A guy named promoter in town, Tony Little, was doing a concert at Thomas Mack Center, and it was a lot of people on the bill. LA Dream Team was one of them, and there was a lot of good groups on it. Anyway, I get a phone call from Tony Little, and he says, "Look, the concert is canceled." Said concert's canceled. He said, "I got some groups that need money just to get back to LA." So he says, "Can I give him your number?" I said, "I don't know what I can do." I said, "I don't know what I can do for them to give you my number." This is back in '84, though. '84. So '84, '85. Actually, it was '85 actually. So he calls me from the LA Dream Team, Rudy Party. And he says,
Rudy Party.
Yeah, he goes, I got a number from Tony Little. I'm Rudy Party from the LA Dream Team.
The drip team is in the house.
He said, "Can we come talk to you for a minute?" So he did. He came to this club I was doing called the Troubadour. So he comes to the Troubadour. It used to be a famous rock club, and I turned it into a hip hop club. Yeah, of course. And he comes to me, goes, "Frank, I'm Rudy," and he's in his red sweatsuit, a Adidas sweatsuit. And he's with Snake Puppy and the girl. And they said, "Look, we don't even got money to eat. We got nothing. You think you would be able to hook us up with a show tonight? We'll do a show." I said, "Rudy, that doesn't make any sense at all. I didn't get to promote it." And he goes, "But I need money to go." I said, "Look, here's comps to my friend's restaurant. I already called my friend and he gave me he said, don't worry, hook him up." I said, "You can eat anything you want. It's a good restaurant in town. So all go." He goes, "But we're dressed in sweats." I said, "It's cool. He's going to allow it." I said, "It's all good." I said, "Number one. Number two, I'm going to give you $500 right here to get back to LA." And he was like, "Oh, I don't really need that much." I said, "It's a down payment for a show. We're going to do a show here in 3 weeks that we promote it." So he said, "You got it." He leaves. I got his phone number. He got mine. Rob looks at me. R.O. Green goes, "Yeah, you never seen that one." Rob says, "You ain't never seen that one."
never seen
And I said, "I got to take it to you. I can look in people's eyes. I'm right by 98% of the time. I'm telling you right now, this is going to work." He got me scared. I called Rudy. I go, "Rudy, I just this is Frank. Can we do a show in 2 weeks? Give me the date, Frank." I give him the date. He goes, "Oh, I got a show in San Diego that week." I said, "How about the next week?" "Man, I don't want to mess with you, but I got a show tentative in LA. But how about the week after that?" I said, "Great, let's pencil in." He goes, "You got it, definite." So he came to town. I said, "Can we do 2 shows in one night?" I promoted the hell out of it. He goes, "Let's do it." Anyway, we cashed out. We threw everybody after we made money. And he was when we split the money cash. We just split it up in the back room. He went, "Frank, if you remember, here's $500.
I owe you $500.
And yeah.
Nice.
And I said, so from that day on, me and him, I was like, "Yo, I got him booked in other states and stuff." Class act, and man, nothing, no contract, no nothing. And I made many deals like that on handshakes, just looking people in the eye.
I love it. That's
Okay, my man DJ Harry A's laying back in the cut up in there. I want to hear from you. You get too comfortable
Out there in Chicago. I hope you don't witness any drive-bys while and you come home safe. Get back to Vegas, my brother.
No, I promise I will be back safe. I promise. I'm just enjoying everybody's. It's really good to hear how Vegas was, cultivating dancing here with the house sound of Chicago, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I commend you guys. I can only speak about my history. When I came in '98, I just wanted to bring the sound here, but it was already here, as I'm finding out. Rory has told me. Rory and I actually went to the same high school together, and learning his history and just playing the music is what matters to me. So I just commend you guys for starting it in the early '80s. That's amazing. So kudos to you guys. Kudos.
I started in '78, late '78, November, December '78,
at a place called the Brewery. And
the
guy from the radio station, he was a program director from 88.1. His name was T. May Love. And he used to come in and he introduced me to the other program director who was called Taro Plazar. And 88.1 was only 10 watts at the time. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, brewery in Vegas.
That's crazy.
And you can only get this radio station in a few spots. The guy told me to meet him. And I'm from New York, so I didn't care. He said it's going to be hard to find this place. It was in Northtown. And I went there and I found it. And it was literally in a closet. The radio station was in a closet in a candy store. Yeah. And he said to me, "Oh, we're moving to this old schoolhouse. And I want to talk to you, you know." So we talked, and then all of a sudden, maybe a couple of years later, we kept in touch. And they kept pushing me to do a radio show. And I would have loved to have done it. I've been wanting to do it since New York. So we went there, and he said, "I want to put you on the air and do this shit." I was like, "Really?" They kept telling me. I was playing a lot of Philadelphia, you know, OJs, and I had this Philadelphia mix that they played on 88.1. I made a mix, an edit of, you know, the OJs and the Tramps and all this kind of stuff. And anyway, they played it on a station, and next thing you know, after that station, or like after that mix being played, they said, "You got a mix show coming." So, but I was doing it from 78, 79, and 80 before I got the mix shows. You know, so that's how long ago it started. And I got to tell you, DJs back then, there was a few whack ones. I swear maybe 3 out of 30. I swear 3 out of 30. And the rest of them were good. One guy was from Greece, and he was mixing everything from the first beat. And I got to tell you, I stole it from him. I was like, "Why are we mixing in the earphone first, waiting to make sure it works before we put it up?" This guy's throwing everything from the first beat. You know, and even though he would throw in Rapper's Delight, it sounded like a croaking frog, you know, bing, bing, bong, ba boom, because he was grabbing it and pushing it. I was like, I got to steal that idea. Throw everything in from the first beat.
Tripping, Frankie? You're talking, but you're not moving. You're picturing him a kitchen like
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
but you know what?
it's true.
It's making me better.
He looks less hyper. That's even better.
Oh yeah, it's one of the first schools in Vegas.
Oh yeah, it's one of the first schools in Vegas.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Nice.
Talk about this guy. Who's this guy?
Hold on.
That's DJ Hollywood. He's in the middle.
Who's this guy?
That's Rob, DJ Rob.
That's
Hollywood.
DJ Hollywood.
And
He's in the middle. That's
biggest,
DJ Rob and myself. And we held down most of the biggest.
Yeah, you guys were the biggest guys
we
for a
held down
long
the biggest
time.
residencies in all
You
the.
guys ruled it for at least 15 years.
You had Rob Crane, you had Hollywood and Pure, and you had Year 54. So anybody who was coming in, those were the three.
And I did all three of those.
Because you
Hollywood's doing good.
I made money with all three of those guys.
Hollywood's doing good. He has a residency in Jersey, Atlantic City, for over 10 years.
Everybody.
Look at Frankie. Oh, there you go. Now you're moving.
I'm moving. I'm trying to see it. I'm doing the pendulum.
The reason why we're here. Show, but it's covering Adrian's space. It's called In Their Own Words.
In their own words.
The book. And it features Jonathan to my left, Frankie to my right.
I'm gonna walk around with this so you can go to my screen.
So you can go to my screen.
Everybody else needs to write their story so you can
Go to my screen. I'm gonna go around.
Go to my screen. I'm going to
Here we go. This is
Give
everybody.
you a panorama. We also have how they see it over here
You're
painting
still
us.
frozen.
Whole painting.
Yeah, Frankie's still frozen.
Are you frozen? No, he's moving. He's Adrian. That's
on
on
my
your screen. He's moving.
Oh, there he
Now
is.
there's the
Now
painting.
he-
Get the
now
painting. This is going to be amazing. Look at what you're doing.
Hey,
I've been getting some good video of that.
Great. Oh, you look at that. Look at you. See, that's why I love you so much. He's an amazing artist. Everybody. Yeah.
oh yeah, you're working. I love house music. For the love of house
This is a world of echoes. It sounds like we're having a big party here. It sounds like the old days.
We are having a party here.
Everybody, we had people swinging from trapezes.
Sounds like Studio 50 party there.
And everybody and their mama was all over the place. Hold on. Let me make some order of this chaos here. Hold on a second.
Try.
All right. I think I got it under control. All right. Are we under control?
I think so.
Okay, there we go. Now we can get back to business. And we can get Frankie off the screen. He's amazing, but we don't need to see him right now. So I want to talk about the Power 88 Mix Show, because me and Rory and Harry right now, we've been holding it down for the last 3 years, but I'm the baby of the bunch. I just came online. Harry's been there for years, and Rory's been there for decades. So Rory, you kick it off. Let's talk about how that happened.
All right, man. Well, just taking it back to day one, you all know that my journey to Las Vegas actually stemmed by way of me being, a member of the Air Force. I was stationed in Nellis Air Force Base, and actually where I worked at on the base next door to that, there was a friend of mine that was actually at the radio station at the time. Her name was Regina D, and she was doing the morning show over there. And everybody had pretty much like, hey, man, you need to really get a hold of her, because all the guys that knew me, they knew what I was doing with the mixes and all of that other stuff, and at that time I was just trying to get a feel for who everybody was and what was going on. Because actually when I first got here in October '83, I pretty much took like 3 months to just survey the market. I wasn't trying to do anything other than just kind of getting around and just getting a feel for what everybody was doing, and just kind of setting up my my plan of attack, so to speak. So I bet Regina D, I actually left her a demo tape, because I worked the morning shift, and I think she worked like a swing shift. So we would always miss each other, but I ended up leaving her a tape and a business card. She ended up getting it, listened to it. She contacted me, and we set up a meeting for her to come over to my house on a Thursday, and I did a live audition for her. And that following Monday, I was her sidekick on her morning show, man. And we basically ended up setting up a show that we called the Breakfast Mix, where I was doing like 15 to 20-minute quick mixes Monday through Friday, roughly between like 8:30 and 8:50 every morning. And we did that probably for about a good 6 months. And she ended up having a hiatus. And after that, I ended up basically transitioning to my own slot on Saturdays, which initially was a half hour, and eventually I evolved to a full hour. And that hour I called Super Mix 60, which basically at that time we were transitioning into actually securing a spot over at a venue called Bogies. That was on the south end of the strip, roughly in the area of where Mandalay Bay is. Actually, that used to be the Hacienda Hotel, but right across the street from that, there was a wedding chapel, and then just a little bit further north, maybe about a half a block north of that, was the club venue, and it was called Bogies. We actually had secured a live remote with 88.1 that we were doing basically from Wednesday through Saturday, and I was the resident DJ. So realistically, you got a chance to hear me on the air from like maybe 11 p.m. to about 4 a.m. when we were doing the remote. So because of the fact that I had the actual show that I would come in to do on Saturdays, I wanted to break up the format a little bit, because keep in mind, we was building this cool little vibe that we eventually coined as house music in Chicago. And I was still very much active with that situation, being there, commuting with Jesse and them guys, going home, doing events, and basically getting all the music, because I was still basically tied into those networks, getting all the music. But, nobody was doing anything with it at that time. So I was like, well, because of the fact that people are hearing me on the air all the time, I wanted to at least give them some exclusivity with the show that I hosted prior to me coming to the nightclub. So I talked to the GM there at the time. That was Al Johnson. And I just said, hey, man, I would like to at least change up this format a little bit. And I gave him a demo tape, basically giving him an idea of what I want to do. He loved it. And eventually we evolved that show to completely just being 100% house music. And of course, like I said, all those records that were broken at the time, from On and On to It's Okay to Time to Jack, my song I Like Percussion. If you all remember, I Like Percussion. Actually,
Yeah.
I cut that record at my apartment in Northtown on a Tascam 234 4-track. I actually took the 4-track to the station because in our B room, you know, we had 2 reel-to-reel tape machines, and I needed to transfer that thing and mix it down to 1/4-inch half track so I could take it to Chicago and master it and press it. So during the live remote, if you guys remember Club Rouge, and I know that if Frankie's on here, he definitely, if you know anything about historic West Side Moulin Rouge, at the time it was a nightclub, and I know Adrian will remember Rouge, Club Rouge. So DC Rider, you know, people like that, and actually we had a remote from Club Rouge during the time when I was actually at the station. All it was a board op, basically just making sure that the signal feed from the club was, you know, fine over the airwaves. But during that time, you know, it was probably like from maybe midnight to about 3 a.m. There wasn't nobody at the station but me and the board op. But keep in mind, I'm in the B room mixing down my record to Ampex 456, and I eventually took it to Chicago and got it pressed. Actually, it ran into Jesse.
You know that was way back in the day.
Vince Lawrence and Jesse, they were actually doing a concert at Stony Island Park. Eventually, it became Jesse Owens Park, but over on 87 and Jeffrey.
I gotta stop you right there. I gotta stop you right there for a second because I got a story.
Okay.
This story must be told because I almost lost my foot that day.
Yeah, exactly. that's real. That's real story.
These are real house music stories, right? So check this out. This was the only show that I ever in my life played with the illustrious, amazing diva Phyllis Hyman. That to me is like near and dear to my heart. First off, that I even got to do that. The other person I got to play with, which is the first time I met him, was somebody I'd been listening to for years, which was D-Train. So we were all on the same show together at Stony Island Park, right? And there were only 2 tour buses, well, RVs, right? And because I lived there and everybody else was from somewhere else, I said, you know what? I'll take the clubhouse because I got more people coming. I'll hang out there. It's enough room for everybody. You guys take the RVs, which are a lot more luxurious, obviously. So everybody's kind of hanging out back there, and people are like, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, everybody, you get a little liquor in you or whatever. Everybody's acting crazy. Everybody's having a good time. So there's this one guy back there, and I don't know if you guys know. I think Rory knows, but I used to do gymnastics back in grade school and everything, right? So, okay, so check this out. So you're not going to come in my house and show me up with a backflip because I got to show you up, right? So I was like, okay, no. He did a backflip in my house. I got to go do one too. So I'm going to show him up and I'm going to do 2. Okay, there's not enough room to even do 1. So I get the first one in, get the second one in, bam. My toe split all the way across the bottom like this. Blood is just flashing everywhere. I'm spinning around, blood's getting on everybody. It was like a movie. Everybody's like crashing around, right? So this is right before the show now, too. I'm supposed to go on in like 15 minutes.
Oh,
so
no.
Paramedics get there, right? Paramedics get there and they like look at my foot, bandage it up. And they're like, man, you got to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, I got a show to do. He's like, no, the show must go on, right? So and they're like, no, you can't even walk on this thing. You got to go to the emergency room right now. You may lose your toe. I'm like, I already got my deposit. I've been paying. I'm going on. I'm not giving this money back, right? So luckily, you know, my band, we all had like uniform type stuff. We all had the same shoes, blah, blah, blah. So my keyboard player wore 2 sizes shoes bigger than me, 2 sizes bigger, right? I'm like, if I can get his shoe on, I'm going out there, right? So somehow we got it on. But okay, now I got another dilemma. How am I gonna stand up and walk? I can't even walk, right? So the bodyguard, the bouncers pick me up. I said, "I'll carry me to the stage, set me on the backstage." I'm sitting back there thinking, like, I had this intro going on. I know 45 seconds, and I got to go on stage. So I'm counting down 45 seconds. How am I gonna stand up? Let alone, we did a lot of dance moves and stuff too. So I'm just kind of like, okay, time to get up. I don't know what the spirit caught me. I stood up, didn't feel a thing, walked out on stage, did the show till right in the middle of Real Love. This was when Real Love was number one at the time. Real Love was on, and through the song, I couldn't finish it. That's when I started feeling it, started throbbing. So I went off the stage, let everybody else finish. But I made it through that show, and I got paid, which is the most important part about it.
I want to know.
But wait. There's another part. Check this out. So after the show, who's that? Who's that? After the show, I decided that I wanted to see D Train perform, and I definitely wanted to see Phil Hyman perform.
Yeah.
So I had them plot me out right there in the middle of VIP in front with my foot up on a seat, and I sat there and watched the whole show with my foot about to fall off.
Knowing Jesse now, I picture him doing that.
I do.
Well, hey, I'm a witness, man. I was there, so I'm a witness to everything that dude just said, man. I was there.
Well, what I want to know is what the hell was the keyboard player wearing with no shoes? Did he go out there and do the stuff?
That's a good question.
Let me borrow James' shoe.
I have no idea because I had his shoe.
Well, hey, Frankie, all I can say, man, is I wasn't looking down to see what their feet were looking like, bro. So,
well, me, I'm a foot for that. So,
How long before we lost Phil Hyman was that show?
This show was in 1985, summer of 85.
Yeah, it was 85.
It was another, about 8-9 years before she passed? Yeah.
Yeah, that was 85. Actually, I made the trip. I think that was Labor Day weekend, 85.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did Phyllis Hyman like the house music?
Well, you know how to love me. It was disco then.
Right.
She didn't,
bro.
She didn't know anything about the house music thing, but
Because like Real Love was like a new sound at that time, and I just wondered if you like it.
If we were number one, you couldn't help but like it. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we didn't get a chance to really talk about it like that, but I was just like starstruck if Phyllis Hyman was even there.
Yeah.
And the best part about it though was my record was number one. And everybody else's wasn't. But I was starstruck.
Amazing.
Yeah. But I've had a lot of that throughout my career. I mean, like even Joni Sledge from Sister Sledge, she was one of my writing partners, and first day she came by the house and rang my bell, all I could do was stand at the door and go. Because I had posters on my wall, Sister Sledge all over the place, everything. And here she is standing at my doorstep. And when she passed away a few years ago, that broke my heart, which prompted me. Great segue, by the way. Next month on DJ Spin's Quantized label, I have gotten Kathy Brown, Carla Prather, Cassandra Lucas from Changing Faces, and Tasha LaRae, who had the most number ones last year of anybody across the board. Got them all together to do We Are Family, which to me was one of my greatest accomplishments and a great tribute to Joni. And even Kathy, I talked to Kathy the other day, and she's just like amazed that we put that together. But it's going to be very interesting. We got great remixes on it. So next month, June 25th is release date. Shameless plug, but I got to get that in. Thank you, DJ Span, for putting it out. Thank you for remixes by Rubber People. And we even have, you know what? Right? And we've got what remixes do we have? I got like a million remixes. Carl Lawton from the UK, super hot right now. We've got Stranger Danger, real funky, super bass line on that. They just barely got theirs in like yesterday. God, I can't remember. Excuse me if I can't remember everybody who's gotten it, but we got great remixes on this stuff. I should have even reached out to Bruno. So if you can do something in 24 hours, you can get that over to you. But we got some great remixes coming June 25th. So look out for it. But anyway, this ain't about me. This is about Vegas. Let's get you all in here. And I don't know, where do we go from here? I guess we're hold on before you. We've already gotten the 80s, we've gotten the 90s, we've gotten into the 2000s. I want to get into what Vegas has been in the last 10, 12 years before we get out of here, because that's like what kind of changed the game.
86%.
Whoa, what was that? Okay, go ahead.
If I may.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a story in real quick. Actually talks about like early 2000 leading into today and whatnot, kind of also the precursor for why I moved here. So, and it has to deal with actually Rory, funny enough. So one of the crews in New York that I worked with in the 90s was the Underground Network. That's Don Welch, Barbara Tucker, and Louis Vega. I was their main promoter. We used to do Wednesday nights at the Sound Factory Bar in Manhattan and so forth. And the party went on for like a good 10 years, real solid, like worldwide, world-renowned party. Residencies also at the Tunnel and different places. And we also traversed and started doing stuff at the Winter Music Conference for many years with that team, and then my own team partners and so forth. So like I want to say probably 2006, 2008, either Jesse or Rory can confirm this. I remember there was a festival that you guys had did here, an outdoor festival. I think that was the Pure Festival. What year was that,
Pure
Jesse?
House.
Yeah.
Pure House.
2012, exactly. 2012. So around that time, Miami, actually even before that, Miami had started becoming real like assholes with like their hotel rates and all kind of stuff, price gouging, and the clubs trying to be real high and rent out stuff and so forth. So like I don't know who came up with the idea, but the word was with the whole Pure thing, like you guys at that point was trying to create this festival thing that could possibly blow up and make Vegas another destination for a winter music conference type of deal. And like that was the news that got back to us. So like our team, Underground Network, and a bunch of people were, funny enough, trying to like assist and help and get that movement popping and so forth. You know what I mean? So like I had met these guys, but I knew all about them just from New York and so forth. So cut back to the whole LA shit. With
hey, no cussing. You can cuss. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's fire.
Yeah. Okay. See, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Get back to Rory again when he was talking about the whole Lady Gaga thing. At that point, when I was doing that party I mentioned earlier in LA at the Standard on Sunset, it was called the Sunday Soul Lounge West. And we used to walk around town and promote and go to the different little clubs at the time. The popular clubs in LA at the time was LAX, Cinespace, and a few other spots. And Cinespace at the time had a little residency by this kid DJ Mom Jeans, who was also the guy, what's his name, from that 70s show, Danny Masterson. Okay, so the little crowd that used to hang out there and the little crew that was promoted was this DJ Mike B. Then you had Steve Aoki, Will.i.am, and all these little kids like running around in that scene, and this little circle we used to run in and stuff. But the good
hey man, I love you, man.
No, seriously, like they were like they were kids, and I mean maybe I'm a little older and I'm tall, so like they're little kids, you know what I mean, but the point I'm making is at that same party, it was a showcase of new artists too. And at one of the nights that I've been privileged to go, Stephanie, Lady Gaga, is one of her promo showcases, just like what Roy was talking about at that time. And I got her information, whatever, and I like seen the performance. I was like, yo, this chick is the shit. You know, one thing about me, why I got into promoting and stuff, because I love music, I know music, and I know what's hot and so forth. So I was like, yo, this chick is like new shit. You know what I'm saying? And I got whoever's information, whatever at that time, and went back to New York, and I was trying to like help like get her booked. I had this one French promoter hit me up like, yo, what acts you got? How can you get? Blah, 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 blah. So I was like, I could get so and so and so forth. And I was like, yo, you need to get this girl, Lady Gaga. She's about to be that new shit. Whatever. I was like, please, like I could get her. Think this chick listen? No. Literally 2 years later, this chick is the hottest shit ever. You know what I'm saying? So that's one side of it. But to get back to the whole Vegas side, all those little kids like Will.i.am, Steve Aoki, and all these cats probably all these kids, when I finally got to Vegas, I noticed like that little evolution. They had a party called Banana Split. Actually, who else? Adam Goldstein too. AM, all like it eventually came over to Vegas and started playing. They started doing their little music, playing their little remixes and so forth. And then shit, you
sound like a woman. That's what women do. Down with your little car in your little house.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying it from the standpoint of like I kind of seen the evolution from afar, you know, and like literally when I finally moved to these guys, the biggest residents at Hakkasan and like all these clubs and so forth. So like that's like pretty much how I can see like from the early mid 2000s, mid 2000s on, mid 2000s on to today. That's
the way you explain it. But thank you, Joe. I will tell you this.
The change has been when Frankie, I'm muted, but when Frankie used to DJ,
we can hear you. Go ahead.
when Frankie used to DJ and Hollywood and everybody else used to get dressed up to go to a nightclub.
Of course.
And it was something that you look forward to because you got to see your favorite DJ. Now, I went to a show to see Calvin Harris. And of course, I got dressed up to go. I went in there, and these people looked like they just came from the pool. The hair was pulled up, and the felt they were rude. It was hot. They're pushing. It was just it's a different type of environment.
Totally.
And it's not as enjoyable as it used to be. It was actually, I was miserable. I was curious. I'm older, so I was just curious to see what Calvin Harris was doing.
Calvin Harris.
Back in the day, when you used to actually make it at night and your best just to go out. It's not like that anymore.
No.
It's just
the industry changed. Vegas is corporate, like.
But even down San Diego, I want to check it out down there now.
Trash. Well, Adrian's been in the scene literally since 1918. Since 1918.
You're not supposed to give away a woman's age.
If I'm 200, she don't see it. But she's been around from the early 80s, but she's been in every kind of trend. She loves it all. She loves everything from hip hop, electro, pop music, house music, and she really is into it all. But what I was going to say to get back to the rave stuff that you guys are saying, promotions that happened here, in 1996, I had a nightclub in 92 called, it was a house club, the first house club in the city. It was called 26655.
Okay.
I'm not muted, am I?
Oh, now you're moving.
Oh, okay, so it was called 2655, and Gino came to see me, and he was like, "This is cool. You're doing something before everybody. This really could blow up." And it was techno. I had Doc Martin, I had Chris Method there, and the place blew up. Nobody thought it was going to do anything. It was packed, you know. I had the kitchen with soul and funk. Rob was 92. Rob did soul and funk in the kitchen, literally a gigantic kitchen. And then in the big room was the house guys. Doc Martin or Neil came once, and then it was Crystal Method a couple of times. And then in the other room was just pop music. You know, it had a rug in it. It was called the living room. We had old furniture from the side, old TVs that was stacked on top of each other sideways with static showing on it. I put cellophane and wrote notes over it. Anyway, so that was going on back then. But then this guy
That was entertainment back then.
Well, this promoter comes over to me, and he's a big promoter in town with jazz and rock. His name is Mike Siegel Presents. He came here before the gigantic companies. And we did a few shows together. I turned him on to the whole urban scene, got him into the Gap Band. He had no idea about urban stuff. I turned him on to radio scene we did together, Gap Band. And I'm in his book, but he writes DJ Frankie. He don't say Frank Adderville. But anyway, he has a book out called Promoter.
Okay.
So he says to me, "Listen, these guys came to me from England and Germany. They want to do this rave or rave in the desert." I said, "Yeah, rave in the desert." He said, do I do the show or not? I said, yeah, do the show. And he was like, really? There's a market for this? I promise you. So he comes to my club and he says, is this what the scene is? I said, it's exactly what the scene is. Anyway, the rave was called Desert Move. You had to get in buses. You had to get in buses. You had to get in buses from Luxor. This is in 1997. I did this event the same year, which is Sister Sledge, The Tramps, and Evelyn King. I did that.
You all can't see this, but we're pointing
Right.
at
I'm
the
putting
poster.
out an old disco poster. And that was at the Riviera. That was at the Riviera, and the promoter for that was Steve Sharippa, the gangster guy on The Sopranos, who plays Bobby Bacala. He's been there 3 years. So he was the promoter. Yeah, he was the promoter. And he was like, Frank, can we do this thing? I said, yeah, let's book the Tramps. And, you know, they already had Sister Sledge. And so they were going to do Sister Sledge, Tavares, and someone else. And when that didn't work out, I said, just do Sister Sledge. We'll get Evelyn King, because I worked with her since the 1980. I did Evelyn King. I did Evelyn King in 1980 at Jubilation with George Lester. Anyway, years later, we do this event, and that was the same month that I did the rave thing. And I thought the disco thing was going to be gigantic, and the disco thing was good. We did like 600. I was expecting more, but the rave did amazing. So one of the promoters was cigarettes, Camel cigarettes.
Oh my God! I did so many tours that they sponsored. I felt guilty about it, but I was like, "Hey, I'm taking your money."
The big thing was about these guys. They didn't want to let out, but they did something so extravagant on the mountains out there. They did this thing with lighting. I never saw it again until. Well, this is I'm going to tell you about the laser, but until years later, I never saw this until Disneyland. But what they did was on the mountain, you saw the logo of the camel, but you only saw it when you looked away. So you look at the mountain, you see a laser light. But as soon as you look away, I'm like, I just saw the logo. And you're looking for it, you can't see it. But as soon as you turn away, wow, it was in your brain. So they paid for that whole thing. Anyway, Mike Stevo did this thing, and it was a huge success. And I remember they gave us the song. They said, you got to use this for the radio commercial. And it was, we are ready. Are you ready? Is the song, Are You Ready?
Yeah.
Exactly. That was the song for the commercial, and I hired a girl with an English accent to do it. Then I did the other voice, so the Brooklyn thing was in there. And anyway, the thing was a huge event. But the big thing about the story was there was a promoter. I had to go to San Diego. I think I reached out to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who can I get to? And there was the Funky Techno Tribe, and all these different groups. I had to go to LA to promote these flyers in these other states. Because I wanted to prove to this guy, look, it's going to be a big event. So we went to LA, we went to San Diego. Anyway, one of the flyer guys was a guy named Pasquale. He was one of the flyer guys. Well, you know what he ended up doing, right?
Yeah,
He's there. So, sure enough, we start talking. Years later, we're talking to Pasquale, and I tell him, I got this idea for the Indian Nation. You can do your events. Not the big ones like EDC, but the small one like Menlo Forest.
Only about 20,000 people.
Right, exactly. Well, hold on. So I'm telling him, you can do the Indians. You don't have to pay for the players. They got this and that. I turned them on to the whole thing. I heard that he meets with them now. But I'm the one who hooked him up with these Indians. He comped the Indians to go to EDC. We're all sitting together. The thing is going great. He was impressed because he said, you were part of Desert Move? I was like, yeah, I showed him the posters. And he was very impressed. Anyway, as the Indians go there, we're going to do these things with the Indians. I'm happy. This is one of a million stories that I was involved in. That never happened. You know how that goes. Yeah, right. Throw shit at the wall a million times, maybe one thing happens. This was one of them. So anyway, the Indians are loving it. They're going, you know what? We can do this thing. We're going to do it. They're talking about how they're going to be able to do it. The next day, the Indians call me and say, people die at these events? I said, there's 500,000 people. There's 500,000 people right at the subway. There's 3 heart attacks, 1 stroke.
Right.
That shit happens.
Right.
You know, so anyway, they were like, we can't do that.
It is, actually.
You're talking to half people. A half million people. So anyway, the other story was the Indians turned it down, and I was stupid enough to tell Pasquale I should have waited 3 days. I said, listen, they said someone died. That's all I got to know. I got millions of people who want to do events. I don't do nothing. He didn't want to talk to them at all. No. 3 days later, the Indians called. You know, the council talked about it, and they think it's too late now. I already said that you were negative on it, and that's it. So that's that story. But it's funny that he was a promoter, and then he became the guy at EDC.
No, but the thing is, you were the one that talked to me first
to look for promoters.
Yeah, to do the NASCAR. You were talking to me first, and I told Reza, I already had a contract at the Del Mar racetrack. So I was already set. I didn't want to do that. So I told Reza about it. Reza goes, I got the LA Coliseum. and Pascal had tried to do a party in Palm Springs, where I'm from, at the polo field, where they're doing Coachella now.
Oh, wow.
And he did Nocturnal Wonderland, and it was a failure that first time because it was too windy. This is way before Coachella even started. And we told him about doing the NASCAR thing because none of us could do it. And now look at where he's at. He's easy. 47 million or some bullshit. I mean, I kick Reza in the head every time. We were dumbasses. We should have done that.
Hey, well, I can't be sorry for Reza. Reza made his few million. He's all right.
I did all right.
Some of the best of it.
I did all right.
But all that stuff came to Vegas is all I'm saying. At one time, Vegas was shut down on house. Program directors, radio station don't play it. Clubs didn't want to hear nothing about it. Then all of a sudden, now this is the house maker in the world.
Right? I know.
And the unfortunate part about it is once you get the big house guys, you all know the story about Cascade. Cascade gets played, and they tell them, yo, don't play any house music. It's like, what?
Right.
They don't play garbage. But I told them all, just shut up and take the money. Yeah, go to the producer and do what you do. Stay in here and take the money. You know, because I said that to Oscar G. Oscar G worked with me at studio.
I love Oscar G.
And we let Oscar do everything he did in New
I like
York.
Ralph Falcon a little bit more, though.
And also Robbie Rivera and everybody. But
The Merc
Razor
boys.
and Guido and Merc, somebody you mentioned before, Louis Vega.
Yeah.
So I worked with those guys when they came to Chicago.
Louis Vegas, Robbie. So many hires.
He looked Louis at a place and Louis said, what can I expect? I said, Louis, take the money. And they give me what you expect. And he wasn't half listening to me. And then I told him, listen, I know Mr. Freeze, I know you're friends with him. He started listening to me. And then I told him, look, when you did the remix of, you did a house version, but you used the bass line from Tanner Gardner. And I said, Tanner Gardner breaks in 12. And I saw the way you made it break in 32. And he then all of a sudden was like, yeah. I said, you took the first 4 beats, which is great. Everybody else goes to the end. And you can tell me re-edited, but you used the first 4. I said, so now he's listening to me. He goes, yeah, now we became tight. He was like, so what do I play? I said, play bullshit, pop shit. It ain't going to work. They're going to pull you off after an hour and put the guy back on. I said, just take the check, cash it over. And he was like, like that? I said, yeah. He went, okay. Well, the point is that a lot of those house DJs know Vegas isn't, they want the big names so they can show the executives we got the big names, but they don't want them to do what they do.
That's right.
So Oscar G came to me and he used to work with us at studio. And when he was at Chateau, he was like, yo, am I going to be able to play? I said, you're not going to be able to play that. And he went, oh, come on. He showed me his, list of all these cornballs remixes. He goes, how about this pop? I got the power. Snap, I got the power remix. I went, yep.
Yeah, that'll work.
And he looked at me and he went, really? Oh, my God. All right. And so anyway, he was the only one who conformed. And once he conformed, the owner said to me, hey, see if he wants a residency. So I said, Oscar, they want to know if I want a residency.
Why don't you take that?
Because they love what you're doing. This ain't the
Yeah, right. Dude, he's real.
But I respected him for staying clean to what he wanted. Everybody else just does it for the money, but both ways works for me. You want to be the artist, I respect you for being an artist. You're doing it for the money, I got you there too. So,
Yeah, but he already had his stuff in Miami, like super.
And he's still big,
he's huge.
And New York.
Wow. This is what I wanted. I just wanted a nice discussion of
you just want to be
old times. Well, basically, yeah, that's what kind of happens anyway. But and Harry's just sitting back in the cut. Man, I'm enjoying this conversation.
Pretty cool. I love it. I love history, so I'm just enjoying everybody.
Well, that Hackensack group, they've kind of monopolized.
No, screw that. I mean, real shit.
Really?
Real shit, right?
Let's talk about some real stuff. I got a little bit of money. Let's do a show.
Real shit. I'm not talking about none of this cornball bullshit. I'm talking about real.
You just know nothing about that subject.
I'm saying it's here. You just have to find it. You have to know where to go. You have to know where to be and who to hang with, and you're gonna get it. I mean, that's I hate when people think that we don't have that in this town.
Me too.
Because that's what I mean. I started.
It was hard to break it in this town. This town was hard.
Did you start the first house label and stuff? No, it was not.
No,
but when you keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it,
and doing it,
and cats start to respect that sound of what you're that you're not going to sell out, be a cornball, and you know that was always been my goal, was to represent the Vegas Underground and say this is real. This is what I don't give a damn kiss my ass. It's going to
Not
be.
everyone understands house music.
Well, not everyone can play it. But what that did is it forced for a lot of for me, it forced me not to play out of town because I got to get paid.
Yeah, right. That's what he's saying. He's saying you got to come to Vegas to get paid.
Well, not if you're a real house you don't.
No, I'm just
right. Yeah.
Because
if you're a real house
you can't get paid. You can't get paid unless you conform. And I won't do that. So, but you know what? That's okay because I play Chicago 7-8 times a damn year, and that's good enough for me. That's you get a couple Kansas City gigs, you get a couple. I mean, I'm playing. Thank God that the COVID has stopped. I'm playing Nashville and Knoxville and Memphis with Farina. Me and Mark playing a couple gigs, and it's there, man. It's just got to stay true to it. For me, I have no kids, so I don't give a fuck. I got a cat that shits in the box, and I don't even have to clean that up. So that's giving me the luxury of having that, $250,000 studio equipment and putting out records. I got no kids.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And like me and my partner, whatever, we do our little show. We beat it up. We do a dual set, but we keep it real, man. We keep it what we consider it. I'll put it like
I get it.
I'm like you. I don't necessarily not
Frankie's still down. Hey, you want to take the big picture.
Right, for doing it the other way.
Yeah,
I get it, but you choose.
But I gotta choose.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I respect both ways. Yeah, different reasons. I just want to mention that Rory was the first one who probably put house on the map in Vegas, hands down.
When he joined our crew, and he was playing, this guy cuts and scratches and does everything we were doing. He knows his hip hop. He knows.
So he knows everything. But he was like, "Yo, check this out." As a matter of fact, I got a strap record up there that Rory gave me because it's on 3 different labels. What do you call it? Set It Off. And that was 1984. And we played it. We were loving it. Everybody loved it. Played it last week. And it's great. But like Rory was like, this is great. You're working with what you're playing. It's cool, but it's house music. And we're like, how much more stuff is like that? And then he was showing us everything, everything else that was like that. But Rory's one of them who stayed true to his art of house. He played everything else for work. He played everything. He did radio.
Come on, man. But wait a minute. Are you surprised? Where is Rory from?
Chicago.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
That's your answer right there. Yeah, but now, not back then. You couldn't get on if you were whack. See, that's the thing that I miss the most. Is back then you had to be on the top of your game, or you didn't get a shot.
Gives you a whole, they give you a whole, hard drive of music, and you got your mix points on the record.
Before you got to come up with cash to get yourself funded. And so now you can do it. Listen, up front, I'm sponsored by Native, so I got everything, right? And I will play track that was like the best of them. No one's business. I started on vinyl. I had to come up with $4 or $5 grand to get started, right? So I took it real damn serious.
Oh, yeah. And then you need 2 copies of shit.
That's right, double copies.
That's how you get a record store.
Now you got to get something that get out like $300.
Right.
So what's the motivation?
Yo.
One girl came to my house and I wanted to chill out. She was real good for chill out. And I said to her, "What would you do if I covered the screen with the album cover?" And I was just joking, and she said, "There's nothing you can do." I said, "You told me." She goes, "You don't know where the first beat is. Somebody down there." She had no idea if the computer was there. Not a slight concept.
Wow. It's amazing. So you see this record collection behind me?
Yeah.
So it's a great record collection. But Roy, I was telling Frankie about your warehouse.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything about that.
I didn't know about the warehouse.
Well, over the years, man, obviously I came to Vegas with an arsenal of records that I had acquired probably from maybe like 69, 70. When I was basically getting $1 allowance and I was going to the stores buying 45s, man. And I just accumulated a lot of records, and then obviously being involved in the record pool since like 1978, 1979, I got to acquire a lot of records. And of course, once the whole record systems things came in, that was a whole nother baby, because now I'm getting quantities. It's not just, one copy, two copies. And of course, in the pool, I always had two bins because, again, I could never play a record the same way that it was actually made, because, again, when you first got a record, every DJ knows it's your job to master the record. You get to know the intros, you get to know the breaks.
Exactly.
You got instrumental, you got an acapella, you know how to get in, get out of the record. So one copy just wasn't going to do it. You can kind of get away with that now with a Serato or, something, whatever you're using. But back in the day, you had to have two copies if you knew what you were doing and you cared enough about what you were doing to try to at least give yourself some kind of creative, originality, man, some individuality for who you were and who you stood for. So that's really all it was about for me, man. So it wasn't too many times that you were going to find me not having at least two copies of a record. Sometimes I had maybe 4 or 6. If it was a good record, I just happened, I was also a guy that liked to buy records too. So I could go to a store and I might find a great, copy of a record, and I just buy it just to buy it. I might not ever played it, but I just bought it because it was just a good deal.
Remember how we would lean over the tables so people couldn't see the labels and stuff? Because when you had
Oh
your copy,
man, I got white labels all day.
And you black them out.
Still to this day, bro.
That's funny. That's funny. But Rory, I have to piggyback off you that DJs need to know the songs from the beginning to the end. And like you said, we'll put individuality, play with the record, make people dance, play the intense parts. And you just, you have to do that as a DJ. So I just wanted to piggyback off that. I totally agree.
Yes, sir.
Well, y'all, this has been wonderful. I have one last thing that I kind of want to talk about, and that's where we left off before this pandemic. So where we left off where things were in Vegas, where the monster that Frankie and John and everybody else created, which is known as the Mega Club, with $5,000 tables and $50 drinks and $150 to get in. Thank God that's gone. So I did a story for EDM.com, right, a little while ago, where they asked me, where will things pick up, once all we get back to this thing? And I said, the only thing that I can even imagine will happen is that real music will come back again. Real DJs will be DJs again. And everybody who's faking will have to do exactly what we were just talking about, Bruno. It's going to cost you now to get in the game and be that person, which is where it should have never left in the first place. We should have always been there. It should always be a bar. It should always pay. You should always pay your dues to get in. You shouldn't be able to just jump in and all of a sudden, oh, I just sold 1 million downloads and I'm getting paid $100,000 a show. It's like, come on, dude. And it's like, we get people to talk about, oh, you all are just mad because, this new generation get that and you all didn't get it. It's like, I'm good. I don't care about that. What I do care about is quality. Right. This thing started in a place from quality, from people with inspiration, with originality. I mean, like we were just talking about, you blacked out your record, you covered them up because you didn't want the next person to have what you had. You wanted to have something special. So when you walked in there, people were paying for your performance. They were going to get you and only you. Someone else wouldn't be able to duplicate that. Shoot, now all you got to do is hit a sync button. And you can pretty much duplicate any mix you got out there. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. All I'm saying, because believe me, I can go on. I don't know if you saw my latest interview. I go off about that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that where I see this game is actually starting back in the beginning.
Oh, let's hope.
And let's building this our thing, our house thing. This is our thing. You know what I'm saying? And we need to keep control of where we go and how we make this thing happen. It's one of the things that I love, and it's not because I'm on the show, but I love our ultimate house party on Power 88 because you got Mel Star. Come on, man, Mel Star, dude. Do y'all know who Mel Star is?
No.
Y'all even know who Mel Star? Tell them who Mel Star is.
Hey, Mel Star is actually Houdini. Rest in peace, man, to our boy Ecstasy. But he was official tour DJ for the Houdini cats, and that was one, man. But Mel has been all over the world doing a lot of things. If you guys remember Master of the Mix, he was actually one of the original contestants for the Master of the Mix reality show. He's done a lot of stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy.
Hey, come on, man.
Good guy.
We got DJ Rory McAllister. Come on. What did Frankie? You said it yourself. What would Vegas be if Rory hadn't come here in terms of house?
Well, we definitely house wouldn't have happened as quick as it did, and not as strong as it did if it wasn't for Rory. That's true.
And you know the beauty of that whole thing too, man, was that I had at least enough insight to archive a lot of my original masters. So at any given point in time, and I usually position them between midnight and the 1 a.m. slots, where I'll actually throw you back and put you in the time machine to where you'll hear the original shows from 1984, 1985, 1986. And I basically re-image because those original shows were 30-minute segments. Re-image them to obviously fill up the time slots. So in essence, you will hear like maybe a collective of 2 or 3 shows merged into one show. But it takes you back, man, and actually hearing the original music. Like when Jesse released This Okay, I actually took the original show
I was just about to say that
I launched This Okay in, back in the day. So he actually did the re-release remixes of the new version, and I went back and threw everybody back to the original show date that I actually broke that record here in Vegas. Come on, man.
Yo, I called Rory at about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was driving in the dark down PCH. I hate to say I love my California now. But anyway, so I'm driving down and one of his mixes come on and I started hearing some of this old. I'm like, man, I haven't heard, it was my track too. I haven't heard that in like 30 years. And then he like started doing this whole thing and I was like, whoa. I haven't heard anything like this since back then,
right?
And it just took me. It's not even that it took me back. It just brought me to a place where I was just like, now I remember why I did all this,
right?
What was the inspiration? Because it was all right there in that mix.
That's cool. That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shouts out to
Rory the crew. This is no joke. Rory joined the crew. I promise you.
You guys put in the work.
DJs coming out from New York, California, tons of DJs to get in that crew.
You better have been good. There's
me,
me,
there's
there's
Rob,
Rob, there was Hypo,
and Rory
came in, and
immediately
he wanted to show off and let you know right away.
I know what you
guys
guys
know,
know,
and I can do what you do.
And he came to the house to prove it.
And then the first Magic Mix he did all his edits at the beginning, and everybody called up the phone.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? This is the new guy. This is Rory. This is Rory Mack. He's from Chicago, and that was his first mix. Do you remember what you did on the first mix? You overlaid like 3 things. You had the beat going.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember.
And you know what? The crazy thing was that first mix that I actually had premiered at the Magic Mix. I had Liquid in there, Cavalry, which was actually White Lines. Nobody on the West Coast knew where that original.
They stole it from this Liquid thing.
We used to play the B side, the flip side of that, which was Optimal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he did all crazy stuff, and it worked out wonderful well, so we knew he was great. That's it.
Right. And then, of course, we got my main man, DJ Harry A, Chicago's finest. Tell him why you're Chicago's finest.
I don't know how that came up, but I'm honored to have the title. But, I just play the music. That's all I do. I just basically keep the soul like you guys. Sometimes I'll go deep in the disco, and then sometimes I'll do the underground stuff, the new stuff. But I just believe in soul, and I think that's what's missing in a lot of today's music. And again, I have to commend everybody on here just for keeping real music alive. And I think, that's our job as DJs. I'm very particular. And I just believe in moving and making people dance and feel good. And I think that's, what all DJs should be about. And I'm just honored, I'm just emulating what I learned from, my teachers, Frankie Knuckles, Ron Hardy, and Mike Winston. Those were my teachers. So I'm just emulating the sound still to this day in 2021. That's it.
Harry, that was so great what you said, and thanks for the props, because I think
There's so much importance in that because when I'm cleaning the house and stuff, I put on the music choice station. And I said, let me listen what's new in EDM, and let me listen what's new in this. So I had the EDM station on for about 3 hours the other day. It was terrible, and I'm not joking. The music was all low tempo, and it sounded like everybody who made the song was like, "What's happening? This is the tempo. Let's do it. 90 beats per minute. What's going on with the sound? Everybody's using that sound. We're gonna use that sound. You can tell that it was calculated to make money from it, to sell it, and hope it goes pop. There was maybe 3 good songs. I Shazammed one. In 3 hours, I Shazammed one. And it was okay. Yeah. The rest of them was so bad. I was like, I don't even care what my phone is, because I wasn't going to Shazam anything, because it had no soul. It didn't seem like it was organically made for somebody musically oriented to do something that sounded great and everybody would gravitate to. It sounded like they tuned into the corporate side of it, the business of it, what's happening, was the tempo right, and it was bland and garbage. So I'm so glad you said that.
All right, well, hold on. I got to interject here for a second. You and I talked about this, Frankie. So, we old. Right? I mean, we've been around for a while. We're not old in spirit, and we're definitely not old in the music and the whole 9 yards. But I say that because think about when you were a kid and the music, even house music, and disco we were playing back in the day, and your parents thought that was crap. It's like, that's shit. And you're like, oh, mom and dad, you're old, And so I just think it's like, are we old now like that? Or do we really have good taste?
No. If I could interject.
Right.
If I could interject on that.
The pop stuff that they play.
If I could,
I even said that. I'm not saying that was the right stuff, but everything they played that I heard.
I'm gonna give you a flash drive.
All right, hold on. I take it. Hold on, you all. I take it. Kenny just made a comment in here, and from Vegas, right? So he asked the question: when are you guys going to put a day party together for people over 50 who love music but cannot stay up past midnight?
That's a great idea.
Hey, there's a party every Sunday.
Kenny, I think that's a great idea. I think we should do it.
Every Sunday, 10 to 6.
Where is this?
18 p.m. right there.
Our district.
Pop it, man. Pop it. Mike and I tell you what, Soleil, San Diego Soleil, Institution, Mike and Town, Chris Herrera, Allah. We're going to be doing Soleil Worldwide. It's going to be there on in September. There's always something every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
Before, yeah, but that was a different time, a different era. Yeah, that was a whole different thing. Yeah.
Y'all can't get tripping on the medium. The medium changes. It's not about the medium or what the device you're using. It's about what are you bringing extra to the table.
It's all about house music.
No, listen to it. Listen, it's here. It's about what you choose to do with it. You can discount what someone's doing. Yeah, you know what? I play track. I got 15,000 pieces of vinyl too. I can get down like that too. But you don't know maybe what's going on. I'm on the fly remixing 4 decks. That's if you're doing something different with the technology's not bad. You just have to take it and expand upon it and do and move the ball down the field. You can't get stuck in a rut. You're like, oh my God, I hate this new stuff. I hate the new technology. Screw that. Have you played on 3000 yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference in that and a computer? It's the same thing. It's about but the DJs, young cats, want to just go A to B. Fuck A to B.
I never went A to B. I was sitting here counting.
I'm talking deep jumping, 4 decks. I'm talking moving the ball forward.
Well, this guy's a master right here, Frankie.
Okay, you're not listening. I'm talking I'm talking digital 4 deck, on the fly remixing, man. The technology will allow you to do more. It'll allow you to do more if you choose to open up to it. You just got to choose to open up to it just a little bit. Just a little bit.
There's one other guy here that I want to talk about before we get out of here. DJ Carlos Sanchez.
Oh,
yes.
The man, the best mixer in town. Nobody mixes smoother than most.
The best mixer
Period.
in town?
Hands down.
Really?
Period.
Really?
Period.
He's good though.
He's the smoothest dude. That dude is the smoothest dude. And
Okay. Well, I gotta hire him now.
You all say goodbye to Adrian. She has to go.
Bye. Nice to meet you all.
Take care. I can say that Carlos is, soulful. He's always been soulful.
That's what I want to talk about. When we talk current, hold on. When we talk current, there's one place that has been going on throughout this COVID pandemic. It's kind of keeping the spirit alive, and that's been Carlos Sanchez's place, the other place.
The usual place.
Oh, excuse me, the usual place.
That's right.
The usual suspect, usual place. I'm sorry, Carlos.
Yeah, that's his baby, man.
But yeah, it's an amazing place. They started out keeping the walls like really small to apply to the COVID things, and then all of a sudden you see those walls get bigger and bigger. Now that place is like huge. The vibe is great, and definitely when you come to Vegas, you have to check it out because you can hear some real house music. DJ Harry A, you're playing over there.
Yep. I'm just again honored that Carlos asked me to be there to start a monthly disco night every third Saturday of the month. Next one we'll do will be on the 22nd, and it's called Love Sensation. And again, I'm just giving the real disco, deep house sound that we all came up on. The 80s, the 70s, and the rawness of the parties back then that I've experienced. I like that rawness. I like the soul. I like the eroticism. I'll even say that. I like the grittiness, and the clubs need that these days, I think, if you really want to party, because Vegas is more visual. I'm all about the sound. So if you guys, I would love to have you guys come down on the 22nd. And again, that's every third Saturday of the month for Love Sensation at the usual
Make sure you get that plug in. Make sure they understand. Check this out. I want everybody to give a shout out to their favorite DJs in town that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. So we want to get in some names here. So everybody, just be my guest.
Roy Evans and Tony Comfort Jones.
Well, I'm the one, Carlos Sanchez. I've been listening to his mixes on Mixcloud. He checks me out. I check him out. I got to say, I'm looking forward to hearing him live soon.
He's deep too.
Yeah. We've been talking, so.
All right. Who else?
I can't
Frank,
deny
we reference Create, man. Dave Fogg.
Thank you.
It's definitely one of
Come on. There's like a million DJs in Vegas.
Definitely,
I know, but those two are my favorites.
But let's get some other ones. These are other people.
Definitely the homie Jesse, the homie Rory. I like Edgar Reyes, Carlos Sanchez, Roy Evans, Aaron Black, what's Aaron?
Black
Irish.
Black Irish. Aaron Black Irish. Actually, he opened up for Derek Carter at Club Soda.
No, he opened up for Roy.
But for Derek Carter's night at Club Soda. And I was very impressed. Very impressed with this guy. He took me back to like the deep underground New York soulful like DJs from back in the days. Not even the garage, but
who else do we like?
House days.
Who else do we like?
And then there's a bunch of. Then when I first came here, as far as classics and soul DJs, which made me know that okay, I can make this my home. The party, the Get Back.
Oh,
the last few years of the Get Back, that whole team, I can't think of all their names, but if you remember the Get Back, all those guys that played at the Get Back classics, funk, soul, Afro-Cuban jazz, old school hip hop, all vinyl, Friday once a month. Ridiculous.
We were doing them at Taboo. They were doing Taboo.
Okay.
Come on. What about Jose Two Height?
Okay.
Okay. DJ Cheese. Let me tell you what DJ Cheese. He's 22 years old.
Never heard of him.
Of course you don't know that. You know. I'm talking about DJ Cheesy's
Write it down.
22 years old. And he got the right attitude. Like he is all about soaking it in, listening to the. Oh, I'm head now. He's talking about getting all the knowledge from all the old elder statesmen. Good cat, man. Good youngster. I love this kid.
Nice.
I wrote it down.
Real deal.
It was an old DJ Cheese years ago in the Profile Records days.
This guy's good.
You know who I like? Ridiculous Records owner, Tommy Ballman. That's my boy, Tommy B.
Tommy B.
What else we got?
You know, there's a guy out of New York, Tommy Nappy. He's been in the business since 1975, and he's still doing it. He works for the record labels. He worked for Madonna. This guy is still doing house. He still calls us up for remixes every so often because he works for Warner Brothers. But I got to give this guy credit. Eats shit, lives and breathes music, and that's all he does. And he can still mix his ass off, clean as hell. He's as old as us, perpetrating with his Converse sneakers and his hair and the dance around. I can't believe he's doing that now after 50 years, but it's working and he's still getting gigs.
Well, wait a minute. We forgot somebody. We forgot somebody. Mohawk. Michael Toast.
He's still
around.
Yeah, man. DJ Michael Toast.
Is still here, still in town.
That's
He
my
was
brother
doing
right
the Golden
there.
Ticket for a while.
Good guy. Very
Maybe
good
a
guy.
year right before COVID, so I don't know.
Hey, you guys want to check out? You guys want to check out the coolest night in town? Because listen, vinyl for me is like a relationship that I broke with amicably. I'm good to have lunch with her, but I ain't looking to get back with her. You know what I mean?
It takes 3 months.
Yeah, I know. I ain't looking to get back with her. Go check out Monday night at 18 Ben, my man's Skyler. This will
Tomorrow night. Yeah, let's go.
Let's
go.
Let me finish. This is 45s only. You want to whip your dick out? Whip your dick out, big stuff. Let's see what you got. Because that's a whole other kettle of fish, right?
Right, exactly.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I still do this Thursday.
Where is it? Ancient Base.
It is just a cool fucking vibe.
Okay, so let's go on the other side. Let's go on the other side. Hold on, let's go on the other side, away from the traditional house. Let's go over to the tech house side. What do we think of Soul State?
I don't know those kids.
You don't know them? Justin? They put on an amazing event. They put on amazing
I like
events.
Soul State. I caught them at like a New Year's after party at this place called Freshwater, like probably 3 years ago. And then they had a night. There was birthday party for the owner of Circus Soleil at Light the year before last.
They're doing things.
And they fucking were the backdrop DJ and the whole visual thing.
I got to shout out newcomer, my girl from Russia, DJ Anaya. I shout out because she does a Thursday night over at the other place. It's amazing. Why do you keep wanting to say the other place? It's the usual place, y'all. I'm sorry.
Love DJ Anya.
I love my boy Rob. And now I got to give my shout out to my boy Rob Alon. And Doug.
The fellas.
Yeah, so we got to get some love too. So, there's a lot of great DJs in Las Vegas. Yeah, Kaika, of course. Lenny.
Low down Lenny.
Low down Lenny. So, there's a lot of great DJs out here. And it's amazing. I mean, we're going on 2 hours here. This is the longest show ever. It's been fun though, y'all. But I want to say thank you. I think we covered a lot of ground, but we can still do a part 3. That's how Vegas is. There's so much going on here. To unpack it all will take a while.
It's about to be a lot more, I think.
Well, coming up, hopefully. But once again, thank you to all my panelists. DJ Harry A.
Thank you.
From Chicago. DJ Roy McAllister, remote from Arizona. Jonathan Infectious to my left. He's right here with me. Tony Soul stayed down at the end. Adrian Hester had to get out of here. She's gone. We got Bruno Browning, Soul Supplement. And of course, we're live from Frankie's house. Thank you. I appreciate you all. And we will see you maybe next week if I decide to do another show. But you know that you will see me within the next couple of weeks. Once again, thanks for tuning in. It's always wonderful. And peace.
Hey, man. What's up? Was that quantized promo?
I did that.
How do you that quantized promo list? I don't go to church now. I know Jay Spears
I don't
big
go to
in
church.
I got to get Harry's number also.
I know Spears big in that church.
Harry's from New York also? Oh, he's from Chicago? It's the same shit, basically.
Oh, no.
Well, let me tell you something. When I went to Chicago, Chicago looked like a clean New York. And outside of saying 3 or 4 words, shit, 3 or 4 words, they
fucking
were saying,
Italians.
yeah, like, I'll stab you in the heart. Where's the cat?
Stab you in the heart.
Outside
Where's
of
the
2 or
cat?
3 fucking words, it was the exact same